This movie that is definitely top 10 of the year, Nosferatu. The newest remake of a copywritten thing. Everyone's getting free roam now that the copyrights are leaving Popeye and
public domain.
Steamboat Willie. Nosferatu been public domain because it's stolen from Dracula. There's a whole backstory you can catch up on there, which I think is very fascinating. But I love how Robert Eggers comes in and makes it his own. It is so rare to see a movie that is clearly something a cynic can say is IP and is a retread, another adaptation, another remake. Man, I ain't never seen anything like this. And that's when you have a real filmmaker at the helm. It's Dracula, really, for those who have never seen Nosferatu. Maybe those who have not seen Dracula. It's a very similar story in where you have a guy who is a realtor and his wife. They end up encountering this evil deity who lives out in the middle of nowhere. This one called Count Orlok, played by somebody. Some person under thousands of pounds of makeup and who knows what.
Yeah, did you recognize him? Because I certainly didn't. I only realized who it was by process of elimination.
When he's in the shadows covered in makeup, I don't think you even get a chance to figure out who it is. And you're right, process by elimination is the only thing you have here. Shot impeccably. Just eerie, creepy. They probably put effects on that voice, but have you been talking like him?
Proprietor is one of the things that Caitlin and I say to each other.
Have you poured the eggs per day? Like, all those rolling R's.
Who is cooking dinner tonight?
Yeah, my best Cookie Monster sometimes comes out. He demolished that role. Nicholas Hoult, I was on a Nicholas Hoult binge this weekend because of The Order, other films that he's been on the radar with, and Lily Rose Depp. We'll start with her right off the bat. Lily Rose Depp gives a performance in this where I stand by what I said about her in The Idol. She was incredible in that film, and now she's doing like a call to arms, calling out all the Idol haters, saying, no, I think we were unfairly judged on that thing, but for her, she was consistent in that, and she is a powerhouse in this movie. She took her daddy's talents.
I'm not about to take back the things I said about The Idol, but she was never my problem with that show because
she's good.
She's a hell of an actress, and this is a really incredible physical performance here. You know, the just abilities that she has to kind of like contort her face and really make herself seem possessed. Like, you know, I've seen some people are commenting about how there are people who are laughing at those reactions, and I just couldn't imagine looking at movies through that lens because it's such a full-bodied performance. It's so fully real.
I get why people laugh, even though I thought it's a weird one because we've had those discussions, right? Are you going to get upset with someone singing at a musical? Can you get upset at someone acting childish at a theater if they paid the money? I don't know the answer to that one. We both hope that they engage with it to the level that it should be.
Like, I think it just means you're kind of approaching this movie in a cynical way. And I don't know if you're going to really appreciate how strong of a film it is if you are looking at it cynically, because it is such a creepy gothic tale. Like, I found this to be one of the most unsettling movies I'd seen in quite some time. Like, to me, this movie gives you the feeling of when you're like an hour from your home and you have the thought, did I leave the oven on? And you're just left to worry, like, something's wrong, I can't fix it, but something's terribly wrong. I think it's a really special thing for somebody to pull that off. And, you know, Robert Eggers, I think he's just become one of our top tier filmmakers in terms of his ability to give you this fully realized vision of something that doesn't just feel like he's been assigned to make a Dracula film, but almost like he's uncovered an old story. Like this, I always feel like his films feel like they're born from the time period that he's trying to set them in. Like, the characters exist with a moral view of the world that reflects the world he's trying to make. They don't feel like modern characters placed into an old story. And this, maybe more so than all his films, really feels like just something ripped from a time long forgotten in a weird way.
Yeah. I remember when he had said something similar to that effect for The Witch. To Vivitch, he was like, I want people to find it feminist by accident. I don't want them to watch the movie and know that it's that from the jump. This needs to feel of that time, and this definitely feels like, you know, the way that they speak and the way that it looks. there's this whole behind the scenes with the camera and the way that it moves where it is tricky. It is a feast to watch this movie, especially when you do or don't know what to look out for, because it is a story about an impending doom, like you're saying, and this plague that's coming. And I love how he adapts what the original is in making him also part of this monster sickness that's coming through. But the way the camera moves, there will be moments where there's a difference between it being robotic and it being handheld. And it's during these moments where the characters either have control or don't have control of what they have. And I'm like, just sit back and watch this movie multiple times to see how he's setting up these scenes, because it's truly a master at work here.
Yeah.
I agree with you. This is not a movie to go out with the boys, maybe, if all the boys aren't in the same cinephile class as you are. Because even in that sense, we were talking earlier with her performance, it is a movie where there is a longing. There is a sexual tension at play. And the things that people are laughing at with what's her name? Lily Rose Depp. It is her doing a noise that is supposed to reach an uncomfortable point.
Right,
So you get put into this realm of like, you have to go past that uncomfortability in order to be able to discomfort in order to be able to really engage with the movie. And I think that's something he really does, because there's even been discussions on Count Orlok. Can you see him as sympathetic? And people are like, no. And other people are like, well. And I'm like, you know what? I think one of you guys may be crazy, but I'm still willing to hear it out. Fascinating movie in all aspects. There was a Venezuelan family. They're Latino, but I just know they're Venezuelan. They came in. I was like, there's no way you guys are going to sit for this. They came out talking about it. I'm talking grandma, dad, kid. They came out talking about the blonde one, played by, what's her name?
Oh,
or what's their name?
Emma Corrin?
Emma Corrin is in the movie. They came out there like, in Spanish, they were like, that blonde one? Yeah, SOL from the beginning. Though they were so engaged. And I was like, no way. This is a movie that I think already did better at the box office than they were expecting it to. It's a film that abysmally is being ignored so far by award circuits.
I don't get it.
But it doesn't really matter, because The Witch, y'all love The Lighthouse a lot. I think now the previous Northman is underrated, undervalued, and I think the DVD sales showcased that. If you remember, it flopped and then did bank on VOD.
Yep.
Nosferatu. Unbiasedly, I think his best film. Unbiasedly, his best film.
I would agree. I think this is the best film that Eggers has made. It seems to me the most fully realized. It's such a complete vision, such a haunting tale, and just so masterfully done. You talked about the camera work. Shout out Yaron Blaschke, who's been his cinematographer since the start. Just does an incredible job here. You mentioned the box office. It already passed 100 million at the global box office, which is quite surprising for a Robert Eggers movie. But the dude is like such a master of genre, and genre movies are popular. I want to throw out a comparison that I heard a couple days ago, and I thought was so strangely spot on. But he's kind of like the horror Wes Anderson, because his productions are so immaculately designed. The details of the world are so fully realized, and the characters often don't like communicate super emotionally, but they are like very in like emotionally vulnerable places. They're not like perfect parallels of each other, but there's a lot of similarity there.
No, I could see that comparison for sure. I was going to say, I was like, his characters emote a little bit more, but I see that because we're talking about auteurs, right? That's the comparison right there. It's someone who truly cares about every element of the screen. And considering that this feels like it was shot on location and it's all on set, what are we doing here? Like,
yeah, that's nuts.
Oh, yeah. 10 out of 10s for everyone involved in the production. I want to go back to Nicholas Hoult, because we were discussing this idea of what type of humor does he have in his films, right? I think there's a couple of stuff he does with Nicholas Hoult where they're talking about, like, I hope he's okay. They jump back, and this man is having it rough when he goes to visit Count Orlok in the beginning. Yeah. And I think there's slightly humor in the movie.
Yeah. Is he cinema's greatest cuck right now? Like, this is a dude who just loves to get emasculated on film and
TV.
Like,
I'm thinking the
TV. And he's so good at it.
Damn, bro. For the X-Men who got picked as Beast, yeah, it's pretty bad. They damn near turned my man into a second Renfield already in this one, the way he becomes a lackey. And I mess with him heavy. Like, I love how he commits. Yeah, you're right. Even Mad Max. Menu. Texture. Mouthfeel. Whatever he was saying. He plays it well. And you know what? Ain't no one like him. He is honestly underrated with what he's able to provide with this. Really good performance in The Order as well. But I think he takes the cake here in Nosferatu. I think it's a standout for him this year. I'm excited he's going to have Superman in the likes next year. But as long as he keeps taking roles like this, which it's going to continue. We're not even mentioning Jury number 2 yet. I'm always happy to see what he co-signs there. But I thought his scenes were funny. That's what I wanted to bring up, is that I know we have media literacy, but we also have, people hanging out in different groups where you may find some things funny that other people don't.
Right.
That's where you get to this bit of like, how do you go out and enjoy movies differently than different people in a setting where everyone is there? But there are some moments where him and Count are like, bro,
right.
Makes him sign something and he doesn't tell him. He's like, oh, yes, just sign over here. I'm like, bro, read that.
I mean, look, his face of like pure horror is funny. I think there's a big difference between laughing at Nicholas Holt's reactions and laughing at Lily Rose Depp, enacting a possession.
For sure.
But I think there are like really fun bits of humor and knowingness to this film as well. I don't know. It's just a really complete story to me. We talked briefly about Bill Skarsgård, but it is such an incredible performance. I don't know if you heard that he like trained with an opera coach to lower his voice by an octave.
Wow. Right. Wow.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
And he might have done permanent damage to his voice, but it sounds dope.
It's better than it.
Yeah. I mean, he, talking about people who've become like cornered a market, he's kind of like the actor to turn to for horror films, whether it's portraying your monster or just subverting expectations because of the baggage he carries.
I mean, don't forget, I know how much you loved The Crow last year, baby. You were like, yeah, give me some more. Joker Crow. He's made up for it. I appreciate that. I like when an actor goes, all right, my bad that one didn't work out. Okay, how about I give you Nosferatu? He killed it in here. Completely goes into that role. You don't even know it's him. That's a sign of a good actor. I'm going to shout out Aaron Taylor Johnson as well. My man's hot stuff. But he really played this stoic character well. And he has some of the most borderline, they went there scenes.
He in a lot of ways, I feel like, is the closest thing we get to an audience surrogate, because he's the one who feels he's acting the most like, what the hell is going on? Like, just genuinely baffled and doesn't want to like entertain this ridiculous notion. I've seen people mixed on his performance. I think he's like does everything required for him in the role. Yeah, I think he's very good here.
I've heard a split in terms of whether you can consider him good or bad, and I think he's a fascinating character, because some people are like, I wish I had someone like him, and they're like, no, he was the problem. No, I think he's a character who may make mistakes, but he's like, nah, this stuff is weird. I'm looking out for my family.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that type of thinking sometimes do the inverse because you're so selfish? Yeah. But he embodied that role well. No. They're wrong for that. He don't really give bad performances. You guys are crazy on that one. And I know. And no one's saying anything bad about Willem Dafoe. My man comes in at an 11. He comes in midway through the movie. As if he was already filming for 3 weeks over there.
Dropping lines about Isaac Newton's mother's womb or whatever. Like, he is always on one. I love that. All our genre filmmakers know that you can't quite pull it off without Willem Dafoe. He's just like gotta be there to give you the ambiance, to give you the atmosphere. And
even with Eggers, Lighthouse, obviously lead. Northman, he comes in for a little bit, kind of a similar role too, as a person they go to for help. And I thought he's fantastic here. Like, that's his guy. If they could time travel, add him to The Witch, bro. Like, I love their interviews together. You really see the creativeness. He really almost takes Eggers under his wing. Like, you are going to have a spot for me, no matter what you do. He was excellent in his part here. They really used, just like we said, Emma Corrin, having Ralph back.
Ralph Ineson,
Witch. The bass. I like this man just coming out so we could test the bass in the theater.
Yeah, along with like Patrick Warburton, probably one of the best top 5 voices in Hollywood,
No, but Warburton's got that subwoofer voice. Anyone else? I'm blanking on the name of the guy who ends up playing, like the one, it could be him, the one who ends up kind of losing it. In the original,
Yeah.
he's like his minion who would
I think
be
it is Simon McBurney who you were looking at just there.
Yeah, just good stuff all around. Shout out to production design. Shout out all of it. I got to catch it in Dolby. Like I said, I've been eyeing that 35 millimeter before we start getting hit with snowstorms and stuff at the Music Box. I would want to recommend it on film, but for sure, because of how dark it is, that Dolby screening was everything I needed it to be, from the rumble to the visuals. Dude, those shots.
That's the thing. Like,
where
I'm
he gets
glad you
Orlok
pointed.
and the windows in the back.
Right.
But you could still see a little of his face. I don't know if you go to a showing that isn't Dolby and you get to see that.
Yeah, and that fair enough. Like, I think that is something that the film does really well. There's so many films out there where the darkness is really muddied and it's hard to distinguish one thing from another. I was really in awe of how much of this film was dark but still legible. Like, it didn't ever quite feel like maybe there were some things that were hidden, but it always felt like it was intentionally hidden. I never felt like they were trying to show me a thing and I couldn't see it.
Like the projection messed up?
Right, exactly. So maybe that is part of the Dolby experience, and I'd be curious to hear from people who maybe saw it in a theater that's not so great if they had a similar experience to me. I'm inclined to believe part of that is just how well it's shot, that they just know what they're doing with light and shadow.
That's a good point. I'm going to double up because, I listened to way too many interviews. He said that they learned that lesson from The Witch, where they're like, no, it needs to look like this. Then they saw it in theaters and they're like, damn. And they learned that what you film to what you're going to broadcast. What's the biggest story of them all? Episode what of Game of Thrones? We learned that lesson.
Yeah.
The Long Night?
The Long Night, I think, right?
Night,
it was the big battle episode in the last season, but who can even remember Game of Thrones now?
Yeah, completely different here, where you don't have a cinematographer saying, get a better TV. He bettered himself instead, and he realized, okay, there's going to be a certain way to distribute this. So while I've only seen it in Dolby, you are correct. Let me give him full fives all around. Yeah, right. I don't know. Whatever I see it next, I'm inclined to say, they got even better with it. Because I think of like the long leg scene where you see the doll, and people are really scared. They're like, yo, if you look at it, you can start seeing the eyes. Those are some of the best scenes, and I just want to make sure people see it in a proper theater. And Dolby gave me everything I wanted. Really good shots in there.
This is absolutely a movie that needs to be experienced in the best way possible. Especially if you don't feel like you got a good system at home or whatever. Like, make sure you see this on a big screen in a good theater.
Yeah, and if you don't like Gothic tales, just know it's you. I may not have liked this maybe 20 years ago. I'm just saying, this is slow. I get that. Yeah. I've seen some people want to say it may not be their cup of tea. For sure. That's fair. This is one of the most well-made movies for what it was going for, 100%. I think even above that. Best picture quality for sure. I don't see how they don't put this in there.
Yeah, I was at one point when it kind of felt like there was no real front runner in the Oscars, and there was maybe like a opening in the field. I had this in my predictions. I mean, this before I saw it and before the year became a little bit clearer. But like, having seen it now and seeing what are the front runners, I don't see any reason why this shouldn't be like dominating some of the below the line categories, at least in terms of nominations. Really incredible film. But I do have to ask you, if you had seen this before putting together your top 10, do you know where it'd be?
Screw you. Yeah, it's somewhere top 10. Puro would have been that hidden gem for y'all at that point. Thoroughly, bro.
High up?
High up. For the past week, since we have had the two off, Nosferatu and Brutalist especially. We got to have another convo on that one with everyone who's been discussing things. It's an interesting thing after the movies come out where you have people discussing things and sometimes you wonder, how much of that is from the movie? Wait, everyone's having the same convo? How much is just people copying each other's combos?
Right.
But both Nosferatu and The Brutalist and letting them simmer and still not having a rewatch on both they're two movies that I think are definitely going to grow. Brutalist, especially in the convo of people saying, no, it's about this. No, it's about this. No, it's still a movie about a creator whose creation keeps getting taken away from him so that people can put their own meanings on it. And it's like stuff like that sometimes makes it a living, breathing thing, which is what you and I love about movies. And I don't know what the placement is, but I know for a fact you can't go without saying that these two are two of the most monumental movies of the year, as they say. And Nosferatu especially is one to catch in theaters. They'd both be up there. I had Brutalist as an honorable. Nosferatu I think would have cracked. I think both. I'm doing a top 20, top 10 next year.
Yeah, we'll see how big that top 10 gets next year.
Great year.
Great year.
Really
solid year.